What's up, it's your boy Luke. A brand new episode of Family Talk starts now. Hey, what's up, it's your boy Luke Sanders, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Family Talk, because today I am talking about entertainment fails, because why not? Because that is very much real in my life and in my opinion. But not even on the negative part of it, just in general. You know, I have entertainment successes and entertainment fails, in my opinion. So I'll figure why not go ahead and share some more about them like I did last year for part 1 and part 2 of my entertainment fails to be honest and relate to you all, because it's not all success. But anyway, starting with today's episode, first I want to talk about, I'm reading down my notes. I'm like, yeah, I'm really going there this week. When I was talking about what I was going to talk about this week, yeah, I really meant it. So first I have basically how being in entertainment, growing up in entertainment in Indianapolis, how that is, how that was, all the things. So Indianapolis, of course, is where I got my start from. That's where I was born, so I give it respect in that regard for sure. But as far as entertainment and people being open-minded to what entertainment can be, and people in general, sometimes it can be a little bit limited, and it's not always the easiest to navigate entertainment. I mean, in general, but in Indianapolis, it's not a LA, it's not a Atlanta, and sometimes it can be disheartening, if I'm being honest. Trying to not only go hard for your projects, but go hard for your city, because you know that if certain things happen, it can open up a lot of doors just for other people. I don't just do stuff and projects just because I want to do them, just because it's something that I'm passionate about, and just because I want to do it for my career, and et cetera, and et cetera. I do it because I want to help, I don't know if a lot of people think this, or even really whenever they work in any industry, period, but when you do something, you're opening up the door for somebody else. Me doing something like in entertainment is opening up the door for somebody else black. That's another opportunity for somebody else who's black. So that's another seat at the table, or other seats at the table for other people. When they see one of us doing something great, then I'm like, they might be a little bit more open-minded to have more of us at the table. And it's so fortunate that people still think like that, because black people, I don't know what else they want us to do to show that we're talented. But yeah, when I win, I do feel like we all win, and vice versa. When other people win, I win too. That's more diversity. That's somebody else who can bring awareness to a lot of different things. And just, it's very important to have black people in front of the camera, on the mic, behind the mic, and behind the cameras. It's very important. So yeah, that's what I try to do. That's been one of my goals while working in entertainment. I mainly worked in entertainment in Indianapolis, and then like other states in the Midwest. But yeah, I just figured, Indianapolis has so much potential with it being now the third largest city in the Midwest, and a part of close to the top largest 15 cities in the country. So I'm just like, why not that at least be somewhat of an entertainment city? Even if it's not an LA or something, maybe something between, or something along the lines of there's a LA and there's New York, of course, and Atlanta. It'd be nice for us to be somewhere in the lineup, because yeah, we have some dope monuments. We have a lot of celebrities and entertainers, from here. So it just kind of made sense in my mind. But yeah, and then in Indianapolis, in general, in entertainment, even when you think about music, like there's R&B, there's gospel, there's pop, there's hip hop, there's rock, so there literally are categories, there literally are labels. So it's kind of hard to not be in a box, because you're almost told basically to market yourself and then have a brand, quote unquote. And basically, I know brand can come with a negative connotation, but really what I'm saying is with brand is like what people know you for, what you stand for, basically like that, So basically they're saying that you need to be in a box to market yourself, and so people can know who you are. So it can be difficult to step out and do something different. I understand establishing who you are, establishing what you're doing. I get that. And I haven't had a team, so definitely it would have been nice to have some help with that somewhat, for sure. But no, I don't want to be in the box. I think I mean, look at the Candy Bursts of the world. Look at the Steve Harveys. Look at the Erica Campbells. They do a lot of different things. They've done a lot of different things, and we know very much who they are, what they're about, and what they do. So it's very much possible. But yeah, so just try to navigate that. And I mean, I've had these conversations with people, but you know how some people can be, we call it cliquish. That's what we say a lot when I talk to people about it. They understand exactly what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that's kind of sometimes people too in the entertainment in general, but it just seems like specifically in indie, you know, some people can be cliquish. Like, okay, this is the people, that's it. Like, I feel like there's a spectrum on the side of like, okay, these are my people I rock with, these are my few friends that I need, you know, that's how people feel. Okay, yeah, but then some people are like, well, that's it. You know, they're not open to no type of other friendships in general on the platonic side, and then also working with other people. They just like, okay, that's who I work with, that's it. You know, they're not open to other stuff. This is what works, that's it. You know, sometimes they don't think it could be better. They don't think it could be, oh, well, this works. Well, you know, maybe it could work better. Maybe it could do, you know, people, they just, in my opinion, some of them have just gotten comfortable in just what they do, which is okay, but why only stay there, you know? But some people are okay to elevate, and some people are okay with just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say decent, but some people just kind of, they're okay doing the bare minimum or just kind of reaching that middle point. So, yeah, that part can suck. But, yeah, I understand, you know, some people, you know, they find their people and they can work with people and consistently, especially, you know, that's cool. But why only stay there, you know? But, yeah, that's my opinion. So, yeah, moving forward on my next point I wanted to hit, I have that I wanted to speak about bad business relationships and unfair treatment. Okay, so there's so much that I share a lot anyway with this podcast, other shows, but I don't ever mean to defame anybody, and I'm laughing because I know I say that a lot, and I know I talked to somebody who was like, okay, well, you can still, I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't want, now or in the future, I don't want to get, and then also not even just that, it's not my goal to put people out there like that. Like, I can talk about a lot of stuff and allude to a lot of stuff without using any names as much as possible, and that's what I do. I do that pretty well, in my opinion. But anyway, I said it to say because I'm trying to be as honest as I can without doing that, without using specifics, okay, if you will. So, talking about bad relationships. That's what I said I wanted to hit next. Bad business relationships. Oh, that's such a broad topic. So let me go back. So let me start where I started, and just kind of give you a general synopsis, or, you know, kind of what I've done in the business relationships I had. So way back, I've been in choir since I was in elementary, and then I was in choir since I was in elementary, all the way up until high school. And high school is when I really started taking seriously. And then I was in advanced choir, so it's a bit different. There's more there. There's more to do. There's more expectations, more opportunities. So the year before I became a president of one of my high school's choirs, I was a junior. I actually kind of started working towards that role unintentionally. I didn't really know. And I might have said this last year, and I'm not sure. Wow, this is bananas. It's been a whole year, literally. It's been last summer. But yeah, anyway. I started bringing opportunities to the table as far as like TV opportunities, festival opportunities. But I'm not the one who makes those decisions. I can only help. And then even the year after, when I became president, I brought other festival opportunities and things like that. And even when I left, somebody was still reaching out for like other opportunities to do with music, I'll say. But yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because that's where I got my start. And some people, they want to work as much as they want to work. They want to do what they want to do, and they have a way of how they see things. So, I mean, I'm not the powers that be, you know. Being a president is not the same as being over the, you know, so hey. But there was a point that I was making. So that's where I got my start with. So that's what I was going to say too. So things were different. Like, I was 16, 17 doing that. So cold calling, cold emailing, cold meetings, it was okay then. Like, even talking to a big organization, they said, okay, come on, They were, I think, in Anderson. They were having an event in Anderson, so we just had to figure out a way to get there. But we had done that to get downtown on buses, on school buses, and charter buses. So that could have been figured out. That was an option. That was something that we talked about. And then also, there's a TV opportunity with a big TV name, but of course that has like local stations and not the local news or something else. But it was decided for that to be passed on. But really, the point I'm making with that, besides giving the synopsis, kind of where I started with like business relationships and things like that, is that it was much different. These conversations were much different. I mean, it's not typical for you to have a 16 and 17-year-old making those type of moves and conversations. Even I remember reaching out to a lot of radio stations to interview me about my book I was working on, and only one station they said yeah, and they said I can come on and speak about my book, and I did the interview at 16, and also booked the show, booked the concert performance specifically for that choir that I was going to be a president for. The next year I didn't know per se I was going to be the president, but so I was even promoting that show when I was doing the radio interviews. So opportunities and business relationships have changed, which you would have thought it would have been much harder with me not being an adult yet. But yes, time went on, different relationships, different business relationships and conversations definitely have changed. But specifically, indie business relationships, I think my issue mainly, or the things that kind of correlates as I'm thinking about them, is, so okay, you say you have a big company, they have the financial backing, or not even a big company, whether it's an independent company that has financial backing and they're moving, they have turnover and they're making money as it is. They're not small, they're not independent. That's not something that's not something I talked about. You know them as, and they present themselves as a company that is successful, whether they're this huge company or whether they're independent and successful. So with that, and that going into it, and then they kind of try to lowball you financially, that's where I have an issue, because no, I can't say per se that you only doing that for whatever reason, but if it's there and you've paid other people, and because in general, period, when any other type of job, if you have a certain degree, certain experience, you can get paid more, right? So if you have certain things, and not only just things on your resume, but actual skills and things that you can see in black and white, being lowball is not something that really should even be a thing. So yeah, I've stood on business and just walked away from a lot of great stuff as far as like what it could have done, or like it could have been good. But one thing I will walk away from, or a reason why I will walk away, is if the business is not right. Like, there's like, I can be flexible with certain stuff. I understand, especially entertainment stuff is last minute. I get that, the whole nine. But if something is already last minute, like we already pushed for time, we just days out and you ask me to do something, and there's a contract involved, and we've been talking for days now, but now the second day before you trying to send the contract, and like, yeah, with stuff like that, it's like you don't have no time to review the contract, and it's like, it's not even about being difficult or anything like that. Like with contract, you should, have a little bit of time to review the contract. Excuse me, not even just that. Okay, so I said I'm going to try not to talk about stuff, but yeah, I don't want to paraphrase too much where it makes sense, because it's not even making sense to me. So the situation I'm talking about specifically is, there was an opportunity, and this is something that, like, on this show, on this volume this year, I talked about the premiere, actually. I was talking about NBA invitations, working in the NBA All-Star Weekend invitations to work. There were multiple conversations. There were multiple invitations. The one I talked about was just one time. So this was something else that was during this time. And yeah, I decided to talk about that one. I don't know if it was, they were right around the same time, but I think, yeah, for sure that other one happened first. But anyway, so I was asked to do something last minute. I already had reached out to them because they were soliciting, like, hey, we can use people, whatever, this person dropped out, we might need somebody. I already had reached out, and I guess they found what they wanted to find, or I don't know. I don't know what the case could have been. Could have been somebody more qualified. Could have been somebody who reached out before I did, and they just went with them. Who knows, right? But I didn't hear back from until I think either days or weeks later. I think probably days. And they were saying, well, this person, they're not looking like they're going to be able to make it. And it's just like, I understand like what I just said, but like, even like, if you're still listening, like, I don't think it would be too hard to like, oh, we feel, this, or hey, maybe if something, we might need a standby or extra person, or we might, I don't know, but you just gonna pop up and act like we didn't talk before. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Like, I already had reached out, and that was already kind of pushing it anyway. Now we pushing it. So I was like, that's personal, right? How I feel and how I think and all that kind of stuff. Like, that don't really have to do with like the professional side. That's just my internal thoughts. So, when they reached out, I was like, I took a beat. I was like, let me think about it real quick. In my mind, this is what I was thinking, and I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, I'll talk to them because I know how to put personal aside. And I talked to them, had a phone conversation, and then the contract was supposed to be sent. The contract wasn't sent until like the day before, or the second to last day, and we were talking a few days out, like probably like between 5 and 10 days. Well, maybe like a week and a half, something around there, between 5 and 10 days. So we already had been talking, and they already had sent okay, because I'm trying to like not say too much. They already had sent everything, parking, what's the word? Per diems, like as far as like, yeah, per diems. And so they already had sent information about the event, where to park, how the call sheet, everything, whole nine, right? Oh, and by the way, this is like with a production company. They were doing something with the NBA All-Star Weekend here in Indianapolis, and they still hadn't sent the contract. They had me on the timesheet, whole nine. They sent the contract, and this is a thing too. They kept, like, I was already talking to them in a timely manner. I would get back to them within that day, within 24 hours. So that's pretty timely in my opinion. And but they kept like, I don't remember exactly because what is this? This is June. That was in February. So yeah, this was 4 months ago. But I just remember them kind of bombarding me, and I'm just like, okay, I'm responding. So why are you? It was like, okay, well, if you don't respond by this tomorrow, I'm like, okay, why? I'm already responding within the day, so why? You know what I mean? So I didn't understand why they giving me, that. So, but they still wouldn't send the contract. I'm like, okay, you guys are doing all that, and I'm actually responding without all that. That's unnecessary. And you still ain't send the contract. We could talk about all this stuff all day long, but I ain't committed to do nothing. So I forget what the reason was, but there was something in the contract that there was a reason why I didn't do it, and it was contractual. It was contractual reasons. And since they sent it the day before, or I don't know if it was 1 to 2 days. Let's say that, because I know it's that soon. And I told them about what, the conflict I had with the contract. But of course, because they sent it so last minute, we was already pressed for time. It's not something that could have been solved. So I passed. I wasn't. Because, and this is the thing too, the reason why, and I think it's a good thing, because being in entertainment, being young in entertainment, people will think, oh, they're just, and being hungry is good. Somebody who's passionate wants it, right? But somebody who's thirsty, that you don't want that. And I don't feel like I was thirsty before, but I feel like I was a little like parched a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, if thirsty and parched are not the same thing, but yeah. So I definitely learned to slow down and not say yes too quick. But yeah, there's been many times with contractual issues. But I think I talked about this on another podcast of mine. There was a contract issue, and I was in a contract for a year, and the contract, they solidified themselves. Like they they protected themselves very well. So, and then there's even like there were conversations had about other people defaming them and how that was being taken care of as a whole and being part of that company. And this I was with multiple companies during that time frame, so I can try to go back if you want to, but you're not gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. If but I don't really. My listeners, our listeners, y'all love us, so we appreciate that. Y'all don't be messy, so I'm just saying though, other people who be listening, who be trying to go back, I don't know. If anybody wanted to, just put that out there. But yeah, so I was in a contract for a year, and there was supposed to be a big turnover financially, and I already had invested a few figures financially, so I was supposed to get that definitely, and then some. And, it was this conversation, them getting you really excited, and, but how old was I then? I was 19 when I signed with them. And yeah, that was my first big contract, and might have been my first contract anyway, besides of course work, employment agreements, but an actual big contracts that are outside of that. So yeah, I read the contract, it made sense, but I was like, okay, well, they know this person, I actually had worked with this person, so they're okay, and then this stuff, I checked them out, they seemed to be reputable and everything checked out, but they got by on technicalities by not paying me, basically, is what it was. The contract covered them, and yeah, because I went back to look at it, and we had internal conversations, and they came back and said, well, I guess I could say, because I ain't saying their name in the company. They basically they wanted me to stay for another year, but then best complimentary, because I paid to be with them, because it was a partnership. I put some money up front, and then we were supposed to make money together, right? That didn't happen. So then they're like, okay, well, you don't have to pay, money up front again. You can just stay for another year. And I was just like, knowing how y'all do business and knowing this how it was, and y'all getting by on technicalities, and y'all been, and with the way that this conversation had went, it was just, mind you, we were having conversations through email. So I was just like, yeah, I understand messages, their tones can't, it could be misinterpreted. But some stuff was just said. You don't really have to have a certain tone to, and it was just how unprofessional they were. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to be with a company or represent a company. And yeah, it just seemed like it not seem, they just weren't forthcoming. So I was like, okay, yeah, we, thank you, but my contract is up, and we're gonna part ways. But yeah, it is what it is. It's business. I don't wish them no ill blood. I ain't trying to take their money away. Because at the end of the day, if I wanted to defame somebody, I can defame somebody and just pay you the fee or whatever. If that's really what I wanted to do, I could do that. So, contracts, they can't stop you from doing nothing, but they can give you consequences. Like NDAs, they don't stop you from saying stuff. I've signed NDAs. I'm signed other, you know what I mean? Other people sign NDAs with other people. That don't stop nobody from doing or saying nothing. But, legally and, consequences and stuff, yeah, that puts that into play. But yeah, some people, they don't care. They say whatever and they just pay the fees and just deal with the consequences. But yeah, that's not my goal. And I ain't trying to put that out there in general. And I don't want that, because I don't want that coming back to me. And that's just not my goal. That's what I was going to talk about too. Talking about stuff and being transparent, can come off as being messy. But I'm like, y'all, do y'all look at other shows, and not this show specifically, because this show's more so family and health and hardship oriented. or PG-ish, PG plus. But like other shows I've done, other interviews, like being transparent and sharing your truth is not being messy. I feel like what being messy is just being completely and sharing unnecessary details, sharing people's names, sharing companies and organizations' names. When you're actually getting into possible lawsuits and actually defaming people. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel like I've been treated. Like, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, right? When I, talk to people, meet them out at networking events, hey, what you do? Hey, what, do that, chop it up real quick, right? Then you show me work. Yeah, I know I've said stuff. But I'm like, I don't think I've said, like, I don't know. I don't think I've said stuff that's just like, oh my God, he said that. As far as like other people, well, I guess I kind of have. But I don't know. In my opinion, I just feel like people say or do way more. Like, y'all can go on social media, because I got people in mind that I'm not trying to say. Y'all can go on social media and see these people who be talking about these people and be very explicit with their details and what they're saying. And I don't do none of that. I can allude all day. I can generalize all day. But I really tell stuff from my perspective. You know what I mean? Like, me bringing it up is me telling it from my perspective usually. It's not just me just saying it. Usually it's because, I was a part of it. I had experiences with that person or organization and company. So I'm just sharing my point of view. But anyway, that's me on my soapbox about that. But yeah. So really going back to my key point about that, about the bad business relationships. If there is a backing, and I feel like you should get paid what you should get paid. That's how I feel. Now we go into it, and I know it's independent, and I know it's not a big budget. And, I understand that. I'm not willing to work with that, but I'm not willing to not be paid, and the money's there. Everything I do is not for money or for like, it's not, some stuff I do because it's something that is important to me. Some stuff I do because to bring awareness and it matters, the whole nine. So if I go into it and I know that, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I've done many things for free. I've done many things. Yeah. So I don't, it's not about being money hungry. It's about being paid and being given what you just due. And also, what is it? Because if you're doing something that's for, let's say, non-profit, or what is the word I'm looking for? Basically, non-profit. Then okay, I can understand. I know some non-profits they pay, but if you're doing something like that, like I don't have a problem. Like I said, I've done plenty of stuff complimentary, but the money's there. It's a company. Don't try to lowball me. Don't try to play my money. Don't try to not give me no contracts. One person refused to give me a contract. That was the person in the company that I was speaking about in the premiere episode of this year, this year's Volume 4 premiere. They refused to give me a contract. They said they don't use contracts. They haven't used contracts in years. So I was just, no. Because even with me, when I've done projects, I make it very clear that this is an independent project backed by one person with no company, no organization. We talk about it, talk about the rate, talk about the pay, what the job description is. And not only that, I make an informal contract. It's not even, even if it's an informal contract, as long as it's something that is in writing, that's something that can't be refuted. So I'm just like, have something, you know what I mean? So if anybody ever wanted to say anything, it was in writing. So you know exactly what it was when you had the conversation and what you signed. So yeah, people can say what they want to all day. And they have it. I'm just saying, like, if something, because people get more successful and elevate, and grow in life, then people, then they remember, then they try to either make stuff up, or then they try to talk about something they had an issue with when they could have been talking to the person about it, but then they decide to talk publicly about it, not to the person. Anyway, I know y'all have seen that, and I've seen that plenty of time with other people. Yeah, I know y'all have seen that with other people, because I have. But, yeah, so I give out contracts, and I make it very known that this is an independent project. But I think the thing that sucks, and it kind of is hard not to feel like race can be a part of some of these things, because people with certain organizations, they, like online, right? And they're in person as well. They have events, they have organizations, but like a group online, right? They'll be offering stuff with no pay, no this, no that, no details, but it won't really be much said to them. But then when somebody actually says the pay, says this, does this, and they say it's independent and lays the details out, then it's an issue. Oh, you're not paying them enough. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, why are you doing this? Or even when I had one of my shows on Amazon, I don't know if they commented or they was in my DM. They was like, oh, because it was actually on Amazon. Like, I wasn't making that up. Like, I got the graphic and had the link. And somebody was like, oh, well, I'm sure that it's not. It was, 5 years ago? From what I remember, basically, like, oh, that's not true. Or, oh, well, yeah, right. Basically, was what they were saying from what I remember. Why is it like that with me, and not just me, but people like me, if you know what I mean, say that kind of stuff? Like, say, like, stuff is independent and shares the quote. Then they're like, well, you shouldn't do this. Well, how dare you? This is not enough, for this, and you can't do this. Da 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 da. I'm not union. I don't get paid by the union. I'm not a part of no union. So there's not rules from a union that I have to abide by. I'm not trying to scam nobody or nothing. Like, the rate, no matter how little or how big you think it is fair. I tell you that up front. Some of these other people, they don't be saying that up front. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. So it does seem to make a difference. It's not just with me, it's with other people who look like me, like minorities and other communities. And yeah, I'll just say that. So yeah, it very much gives that. It very much gives privilege, I'll just say. So yeah, I do think that that's messed up. And if somebody's telling you up front, like, nobody's asking what you think. If you wanted to do the job, then do the job. If you don't, then keep going. Like, I really don't understand people who take the time to write something negative. Like, they're not writing something to bring awareness or trying to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just negative. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they might call themselves trying to spread awareness. It's not, Like, even if you wanted to say something to my DM, like, oh, hey, well, maybe you could add this, or hey, something, because that's deconstructive, really, the way that they were going about it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not here to pay. Speaking as an independent filmmaker and with independent budgets, and yeah, I'm not here to pay somebody's bills. I'm here to work and pay people what I can pay them. If they can't take it, the rate, or it's not low enough, then have them pass. But I'm not making anybody do anything. I'm not making anybody sign a contract. I'm not making anybody take a certain amount. They're choosing to do that. So that's not on me. So, but yeah, even somebody who was literally, what's the word? Would it be spamming? Somebody I was talking to about working on a project, and they had an issue with the rate. And I told them, like, what I'm saying now, that's what I'm able to give, and I understand if you don't want to take that. But then they just kept going on and on and on and on and on until to the point to where I had to block them because they wouldn't stop. And yeah, it was like boom, 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 message. Because I'm not about to go back and forth. I don't get joy from that. That's not something I want to do. So at a certain point, I just stopped responding because I'm saying the same thing in different ways. So there's no point, because obviously you're not getting it. You're not hearing what I'm saying. Well, how could you pay this, and this is not enough, and you need to pay this, da 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 da. You're not paying nothing out of my pocket, so I'm paying you what I can pay. I ain't paying nobody in chicken dinners. Like, I'm paying a few figures. Like, I'm paying a nice amount, okay? And then if you contractually sign with somebody, how am I not gonna say this? Because this was an internal conversation that was not public. So different things that I've worked on. Like I said, I have contracts, right? I make informal contracts so that we both can see something in writing and so that it can't be refuted. Generally speaking, if you sign a contract with somebody, you're committed to them first. Even if there's a better opportunity comes up and it's a higher paying opportunity, you contractually committed to them first. So even if you wanted to say, hey, can we work this out? Or hey, can you do this? Can we, I want to take on this project, and you don't have to get permission from anything, because I'm not asking anybody to sign a non-compete or anything like that and not work and do other work. That's not the case. And I wasn't working on anything that where it really would take you from other work besides like schedule wise, because I don't know what their schedule was per se, their production schedule. But yeah, I wasn't shooting full, like I told somebody just so they can get it and leave me alone. Like I shoot like Tyler Perry. Like usually when you shoot a docuseries and things like that, documentary type things, it's usually a 4-day thing. But I don't shoot 4 days because I don't have a whole TV network or reality show or docu-series budget. I shoot what I shoot, and I get in and I get out in a couple hours or so, or a few hours if that. So it's kind of hard to find people hourly for sure, and it's hard. A little bit more people you can find half days, but usually 4 days, they want to shoot 4 days. Some of these companies, some of these people, no matter what, which is usually, it could be 8, 10, or 12 hours or in between those. So I would just shoot like for a couple hours or so. So I wouldn't be doing 4 days, because I would shoot what I'm going to shoot, and then that's it. The way I would shoot a full day is if I was just doing different stuff, and yeah, so it don't really make sense from when I was filming to shoot 4 days. So I really understand what his problem was. Lord, I'm telling everything, huh? Yeah, I already said it. I don't really know the person I was speaking with. I don't know what their issue was, as far as, I guess they really kind of just wanted to, if you want to be out of your contract, I mean, say that. Because that's kind of, now that I'm really thinking about it, that's kind of what it was very much giving. Like, basically, like, oh, Jesus, how do I paraphrase? Like, I was told that their bills need to be paid, and they're going to take whatever gigs they need to do to get paid no matter what. That's what I was told. So I understand that. Like, but even if you take being an independent contractor and working entertainment out of it, right? If you work in 2 jobs and you're committed to 2 different employers, when would you ever say, well, I'll just come here to work whenever I can, or let you know when I can work, but I'm going to take this job over here, work here more because they're paying me more and I can pay my bills with that? When would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, in what space would that be okay? So I didn't have to. I mean, because low-key, contract was kind of breached and not on my end. But I was like, okay. And then also I was thinking, I really don't want to work with anybody who don't want to work with me or want to work for the rate. Because it was an issue. We had a very extensive conversation when we first started working. Before we started working and the contract was signed, none of this was brought up. The rate, issue with the rate, then working with something else on another project, it was never an issue. So it just kind of became an issue all of a sudden, which if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it seemed like it could have been like a project that kind of came up, and it was a higher paying gig, and he just wanted to pay it, and there might have been some schedule conflicts. But I'm like, if I'm only shooting a couple hours, a couple times a week or so, like how, you know what I mean? Like, how could you not figure that out? Like, yeah. So I don't know, teach his own. But yeah, I mean, technically that's kind of a breach. But I was like, listen, you want to do that? You really don't want to be here? Hey. And if he wanted a higher paying rate, I could have done that. I couldn't have matched what they was doing. Like, this is, what store is that where they match? I can't remember what store. Is it Best Buy where they match the price? I might not be able to match them because that's a whole production company. I can't match them. But I could have bumped something up. And I don't even think he knows this, but so I was like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Well, I hear where you're coming from. If we can make a mutual agreement and have an understanding for you to shoot one more time, so give me some time to find somebody else, basically find his replacement. I feel like, it's pretty fair to ask, so, because he was just like pretty much like peace, like, you know, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that would be cool just to hang me out to dry, because I was paying you before they were paying you, so, yeah, I mean, and this whole, Lord Jesus, yeah, there's this whole conversation about why he shouldn't work with me and just trying to find stuff he had an issue with that I didn't even know that really didn't even have nothing to do with me. Like, Lord, how much do I want to tell? And I'm sorry, I know I'm probably getting on your nerves, like, oh, let me not tell too much, how much do I want to say, but it's just, I don't want to, yeah. Basically, like, him having, and don't have nothing to do with me, but, like, personal issues and trying to get to set and film, my projects and things like that, stuff he had to deal with, stuff he had to get through. They had nothing to do with me. They had nothing to do with me. I care because you were human, but that wasn't in my control. They ain't nothing I could have done. And that's not something I knew. That's not something I was privy. Yeah. So there's nothing I could have done anyway, but I didn't know that anyway. Anyway, how many times did I say anyway? Just now. But yeah, basically just wanted this whole spiel, basically trying to talk me out of me wanting to work with him, and I guess it kind of worked, but it wasn't even just him saying, I just didn't want to work with somebody like that any longer, and he didn't want to work anyway, so he wanted to take something that's higher paying, I mean, hey. But when you do stuff like that, you burn bridges. You can burn bridges, because now I have a bad taste in my mouth professionally. No matter how I feel personally, what I thought professionally, I know that if you have something else that you want to do or feel like you need to do, that you're going to take it. So now I don't think you're reliable. So now I'm not going to recommend you to other people, which was the case. I was working on another project, and I was the head of the project, and I got to choose whoever I wanted to choose as prospects to work with. And I didn't put that person on the list because he wasn't reliable. You know what I mean? Like, your relationships, your connections are everything. So yeah, I'm like, that's not somebody who's going to be reliable. If they, and that's not how you, because my intention is never to be like, I'm the boss, I'm the producer, I'm this, be quiet, listen to what I say. That's never how I come off. If I've ever come off like that, I don't recall if I ever did. If I did, I apologize, because I don't remember doing that, and that's not my intentions. But I do make sure that I'm respected as the head of the production, and, person who's paying people, to respect the hierarchy. But yeah, definitely not something you should be saying to the person who's paying you, like, I can get paid more, you not paying nothing. Well, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so we shot one more time. Then I was like, and then, no, I ain't gonna say that. But yeah, so, that's what I was gonna say. So yeah, I brought somebody else along, and actually ended up paying them more. And the reason why I ended up paying them more is because they asked for more. So I don't try to lowball people, but I also don't have to just, give the max, So, I mean, when you negotiate anything, you don't start out super high. You kind of start out lower in the middle, So that's what I did, like I did with the other person. But he actually asked for something higher, and I was able to give it to him. He took the rate that he was okay with. The other guy, I thought that's what he was doing the same. I asked him, wasn't really even much negotiation. He was like, gave the rate. He was like, okay. From what I remember, so if you were okay with the rate, then why, you was saying you was okay, so why would I think other? Why are they thinking any different? So, I mean, if he wanted, yeah, anyway. But yeah, that was that time. I know, y'all know I can go on a good tangent, but yeah, and I'm having these real conversations. This is why, because other stuff I could say that would not be defaming, but it's internal details that I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't necessarily want to put out publicly, and I ain't trying to be messy. Whether these people listen or not, that's just something I go. So, yeah, I can be transparent without sharing everything. So, yeah, if I wanted to make this a messy episode, I could. But yeah, that's not my goal. Because if you think it is, it's not. It's really not. But then I got some on here too. when I was taking notes for this episode, because my notes are broad, like I only have 5 notes. I was like, oh, this is going to be an episode. Because I'm like, this is something I've been wanting to talk about and thinking about talking about for a minute. Because I know it's not things that I'm going through and dealing with and have dealt with. I've seen other people deal with it. So I also want to bring awareness to these things as well. But next, I wanted to talk about seeing people who... what I have written down is seeing people who aren't as talented or who has good qualities or good character, I'll say, as me get opportunities. So I know that entertainment specifically is not the good person game. I know it ain't the good heart game. I know it ain't, I understand that. And then also, but I mean, it really is kind of like the talent game, but really not. Like it really is based off talent, but not at the same time. So that's something that is very much real. Yeah, I mean, I don't really, that's how I feel. I know people like, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Oh, you shouldn't. It is hard when you see people who either don't work as hard as you work, halfing, or who, their characters suck. Let's just say that. And you've known people, you've worked with them a lot, and it's hard to see them working with people who either they work with people or they work with people who are Grammy Award nominated, Grammy Award winners, these award winners. It can be hard because it's like, oh, that's the same person who did this. This is the same person who did that. And yes, it's okay for people to make mistakes. It's okay for people not to be perfect, but it's also like people, they just kind of do what they do and they don't really say nothing to have a conversation. Like people have an understanding and apologizing, and that's not really something that a lot of people do in general, personally or professionally. But yeah, it might be petty. And yeah, it might be personal. But that's how I feel. Sometimes it does suck to see people who are not necessarily that talented or hardworking and who can be rude, really rude, get opportunities. Excuse me. Because yeah, it just can. But that's not always life. Sometimes the good guy don't win everything. I'll say that. So yeah, that can suck because I'm like, okay, well, Lord, like I've been putting in the work, I've been networking my behind off, I've been doing this, I've been doing that, and it's not even just these specific scenarios or people. It's just in general. It's like you see here and there, like, okay, dang, this person doing that person doing that. I'm like, well, dang, like I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, as much as people could say, don't compare yourself to do this, don't do that. That's the goal, but I'm still human. But yeah, that is how I feel. That's very vulnerable. But yeah, that's how I can feel sometimes. But yeah. Oh, Lord. And then what I got on next to talk about is getting false promises. So that can kind of be a people thing, but you hear about that a lot in entertainment. I can't tell you how many people I've heard, oh, let's do lunch. Oh, well, yeah, let's talk about this. Or, oh, yeah, let's change numbers. Oh, my God. That is so annoying. Because at a certain point, I'm just like, just don't say it. Like, don't Chandler me. Like, when Chandler was talking to, I think her name was Diana, or Rachel's boss towards the beginning of the series, and he was going out with her, he was dating her, and he gave her false pretense, like he told her like, oh yeah, let's do it again, let's go out again and let's talk, basically like I'll call you later, and he knew he wasn't gonna call her when he said it. He's basically saying like goodbye, like no, that's not the same as saying goodbye. And Rachel was like, okay, well stop saying it, go back to the office and tell her that you're not gonna call her again and let her down easy. And then he did, and then he said it again. He was like, okay, yeah, talk to you soon, or call you later. Don't Chandler me. Don't Chandler me, please, because I'm not here for it. Like I'd rather you just say, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll see you later, or maybe we can't, give some openness at least, don't give me no definitives. Like, we can, we might, hey. Then I'm like, okay, well, they did say that, but like, oh, no, we'll do it, oh, let's do this, or we're going to. Come on now, good into you know that you're not gonna follow up. You're not gonna keep your word, okay? Because personally and professionally, I'm not here to be left on red. And having good conversation, good vibes, good energy, good connections if I didn't say that. And change contact information, social information, whatever. And then they reach out or you reach out first, and then you don't hear nothing. You just see that I'm like, okay. And if you don't leave your red on, like if you don't leave your red receipts on, stop reading them and not responding. Like that's a read on you, okay? You taking the time to read my message but not respond to it? Hey, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, come on. So yeah, that's just annoying because it feels like a waste of time because you going out networking, making connections, making vibes, making good energy and stuff like that. Usually professionally, but even some people may be in the industry, like, professional friends. You know what I mean? So yeah, that part can suck. And then now also, Lord, I'm like, how much am I going to tell today? I always say, and I told people, tell some, save some. Tell some and save some. Got that from Erica Campbell because, yes, when I say that to people, there's no shade. I just mean, like, share your truth. It's okay to be transparent, but don't tell everything because people ain't going to understand. Don't tell it. Everything ain't for everybody, okay? Everything for the public. Okay, tell some, save some. So I was a part of this thing. I was a part of this organization. And it was this thing that was kind of brief, but it was for some days. And and that's kind of, I don't even think that's a bad thing. I think as I'm breathing heavy, I'm like, usually I'll be the one who get affected negatively by it, but I'm usually the one that's trying to make connections and talk to people and, bridge the gap. And like, even if we're not going to be, all of us going to be as a group, if we're not going to all be cool, at least be cordial. That's what I try to do. But I'm like, okay, I can't force that. I've definitely learned that. Can't force that. I don't feel like that's a hard ask. But yeah, some people, they don't want to do that because I'm like, okay, if we coming up in the industry and people could be how they be, why not at least be cordial? Why not be like, okay, well, hey, this might be somebody who you can make a professional connection with and work with later down the line. And I think one thing that's a correlation between me starting this episode and now, I think people, they don't look in the future. They're not long-term goal oriented. They just see the now. They don't see the future. So I think they might not be able to understand that or really fully grasp that. I remember, because I'm like, okay. I remember when I'm talking about this organization, this group, and I was like, hey, why don't we all exchange contact information or start a group chat or whatever, so we can keep in contact after this. So, we can either work together or we can, whatever the case may be, hang out, whatever. Because whether you're working with somebody in the industry or just kicking it with them or kind of a little bit of both, it helps a lot because they understand where you're coming from. I've had that, but not at the moment I don't, but I've had that, so I'm blessed to say that. So, yeah, I mean, people who get it, understand the frustration, and who not going to tell your business, you're not going to tell their business. It's not even about you being messy, but it's just, you don't got to explain nothing because they get it, they understand you, they know where you're coming from, they know you're not trying to be funny or be messy, they get it, they get the frustration. You don't really have to preface stuff. You really have to put a lot of, what is the word I'm looking for? You don't really have to explain stuff because they understand. They understand. So that part can be cool, but I don't think people understand that, and be able to relate to people in that way. Not only being cool with them, being friends, but being professional friends. It's cool, but everybody didn't get that. Everybody didn't get that. One person was like, my parent works for this organization, so basically, so I don't even need y'all. Literally. So let me basically paraphrase what they say and tell you how I feel, because this is what they said. Yeah, my parent works for this company, big company, very notable entertainment company, and basically left it off like that. Like, yeah, they work for this company, so you fill in the blank. So... yeah, so it's not even about trying to use people or need people because you don't never know who you're going to really need anyway. It's just about creating good connections, good vibes, good energy. People don't see that. They don't always see that. So yeah, that can be frustrating when people don't get the bigger picture. But hey, everybody ain't going to think like you. Everybody ain't going to get it. And Their way is not the right way, and your way ain't the right way. Teach his own, you know. But yeah, so next up I have, okay, wait, before I get off of this key point. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, getting false promises. And, oh Lord, because this just happened this year. This happened like a few months ago, actually, 3 months ago. So I went to this event with this big local organization. Oh, that's kind of telling now, but I've said it. But you ain't gonna know. Yeah, that ain't too much. But had a dope conversation about equality, basically, and how they could be more inclusive, how I can help with that, and you can't make people not be racist, misogynistic, sexist, this phobia, that, you know what I mean? You can't make people not be that. When you entertain it and you don't clock it and you don't either kick them out or suspend them from the organization or whatever, or have a conversation with them personally, then you kind of a part of the bull. Like, you kind of a part of the, you know what I mean? Because you at the top and you part of the organization, you be one of the leaders. Why would they stop if you're not saying nothing and doing nothing? Like, y'all both wrong. So I only can spread awareness and be a part of the diversity, but I'm not trying to be a part of somebody's diversity quota. And diversity, it's not a solvent to that. Like, one more person of color is not gonna stop people from doing and saying certain stuff. If anything, it might amp them up. You know, I can say stuff, but it ain't gonna be received the same as somebody of color some of the times, because if I'm talking to somebody who's not of color and they giving racist vibes. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to be a part of somebody's diversity quota. I'm not here to be somebody's token black person. And if you want inclusivity, be inclusive. Not in just diversity and, you know, different people from different cultures and communities. But, yeah. Be inclusive, be open-minded, and be fair and be respectful to everybody. Just because you've known everybody and been around other people don't mean you know how to treat them. Because what's at the head trickles down. That's what I was always told growing up. Whoever's at the head is over it, and people who's under them, it trickles down, you know. So, but oh Lord, okay, I got the actual name. Okay, of this company. I was about to read it out loud. Lord, okay. So, I needed to take a breather from this because this was a lot. Like this, like I don't know the last time I had a professional call like this ever, and even other calls, personal. Yeah, not like this. Of course, everybody's had arguments and disagreements, but a call like this. So, I've been working on projects for 3 years, TV projects for 3 years. Like, I've always had ideas and jotting stuff down, but actively producing, actively having conversations with production companies and talking to people who connect me and who have connections with streaming services, and talking to different producers, and having those conversations. It's been 3 years, and signing NDAs and having pitch decks and having, you know, just working on different stuff for the show, these shows. It's been 3 years, and it's been a lot of no's, but some yeses, and then the yeses, they've gone away. Even after following up, they just stop responding for whatever reason. And I'm at a point to where I'm like, I'm not giving up, but I'm just like, okay, God, like, when and if it is your will, I'll keep working on stuff on my end, and if I feel led to and come across somebody or a company that, you know, I'm able to reach out to, okay, but I'm not being hell-bent on it. Because there's only so much I could do on my own. Because if I could have done it on my own and knew how to do it on my own, I would have done it. As far as what I'm trying to accomplish with these projects. But and then also, I'm learning stuff. Like, I'm learning stuff with these no's. So I'm like, okay, all is not lost. I've learned a lot of stuff. I've learned a lot of the ins and outs of TV production, the difference between streaming services and TV networks, and how people suggest you go with streaming services because there's more creative control, and then the licensing is different in a good way, and then TV networks, creative control is not always there, and then just a lot of different things I've learned, thankfully, that I didn't know. And this is just in conversations and inquiring about, and some of them, worry about having meetings. But anyway, I like to say I called this company that I had talked to before because, sometimes people could change, or it might be somebody else there, or it might have more openness, hey, business. Somebody said there's no permanent enemies in business, so I was like, well, let me go ahead and circle back and call them, because they actually had reached out. But it wasn't like them, like it was like, it seemed like it was like a email blast, so they hadn't reached out to me personally, but they reached out, if that makes sense. So I didn't respond to that, but I was like, oh, they did send that. I went back to look at my emails. So I reached out again, but I actually called, talked to a person that I never remember talking to. Talking to this person, basically just asking, okay, well, how does this work? Calling to see if anything had changed, or da-da-da-da-da. We ended up going to a conversation that was very accusatory. Like, well, if you've been working on it for 3 years, then why haven't you figured it out yet? You mean to tell me you don't know this in these 3 years? Like, what haven't you been doing? How do you not understand this? Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. With this type of energy, not just me, felt like literally, okay? And I can't, it threw me out for a second, because I was like, who is this? Like, who are you? Like, and I don't care who it was. Like, I don't need nobody to be talking to me, period. But I'm just like, who, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand. So I can't remember. It was, of course, it was more vivid when it happened. But this is this spring, so about 3 months ago, the top of spring. So 3 months ago, and they was just like, basically, like, why am I calling? Like, I should have already had the show together. I should have already had the budget together. I should have already had this. I should have done this. And it wasn't like, oh yeah, well, it wasn't constructive criticism. For one, I don't really know them for them now give me constructive criticism. It was just criticism, unsolicited. It was unsolicited. It was unsolicited criticism. So yeah, and I was just like, I forgot what he said, because I usually don't respond like this, but I was like, on what planet would somebody who's requiring to pay you all talk to somebody like this? And why would you talk to somebody like this anyway? But especially somebody who will be paying you, who on what planet? He was like, well, I'm sorry you don't know what planet, somebody will be talking to. Like, it was like that. Like, literally, he was saying stuff like that, and it was very condescending. And he was like, well, we're actually closed right now. Okay, if you actually closed, why you answer the phone? If you closed, you wouldn't answer the phone. And he answered the phone when somebody else was there. And the thing that irritated me too, either he had two phones. He had to have had two phones, because he had me on the phone. He didn't put me on hold. He said, hold on. But I heard him talking to the other person. He wasn't even talking to them like that. And they were actually asking him questions. Like, they was actually being a little bit difficult with him. And I heard how he was responding to them. I didn't hear them. They weren't on speakerphone, but I heard him responding to them. He was talking to them much different. And from what I understand, he was a brother. So I didn't, and I understand. I know that, some situations and things are colorless, but for anybody who might have been thinking elsewise, or other than, So, I just don't understand. I was just confused. I was just like, why is he talking to me like this? And he was just short, snappy, condescending, and rude. And at the end of the call, I was like, okay, ask him what his name was, because, just even remember it now. Now I'm starting to remember now. Now I'm starting to get a little hot. But no, because I'm not even exaggerating, y'all. Like, it was like a conversation. Like, it was a 30-minute conversation that should have took 5 minutes, if that. And then when I tried to email the person that I had actually talked to and had actually communicated with for a nice amount of time, we were supposed to talk again, or I don't know. Some time has passed. We were talking. We had a good conversation. We were just trying to figure out the money aspect of it and find an investor so that had to be figured out on their end or my end. So that's kind of where things were left off. But cool. He was easy to work with, talk to. As far as, professional, like working on stuff and working on projects, he wasn't difficult or rude or anything like that. Amicable, professional, whole nine. It's kind of hard to find people like that. I emailed him again after this call. Then he don't respond. I'm like, oh, okay, now he ain't responding. He was responding before. So I don't know. Could have been because of the call. Could have been because it was such a big break in between the last time we spoke. Or something else. Who knows? But yeah, I just had a conversation ended different. And he was like, I asked him his name. And he was like, yeah, because I want to talk to his supervisor or something. Because it was, I'm telling you, it was that bad. I had not had a conversation like that in a minute, like for real. Especially about like business, like, yeah. But excuse me. But yeah. And I got his name. He was like, basically, he was asking me, am I trying to report him? I was like, well, yeah. He was like, well, that's kind of messed up because I have basically trying to give me the sob story. Like I need this job, so that would really be messed up for you to try to make me lose my job. I said, first of all, I don't have the power to make you lose your job. I said, that's not even my goal. I ain't trying to get anybody fired. I don't have that authority. Like, I don't employ you. Like, one person complaining don't have nothing to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have the ability to get you fired. So, and then you wouldn't even have to be worried about that, which is internal, because I never even, I guess somebody else did that, or if that's what I don't call to get people fired. If I call to report something or leave a review or something, it ain't to get nobody fired. It's just to let them know, not only for me, but for somebody else's sake, so that it don't happen again or happen that way. But yeah, I was like, get off the phone. And I don't feel bad. But yeah, so that was my entertainment fails Threequel. So I didn't even know what a Threequel was until I started looking up like the third version of a sequel. It is a prequel, sequel, threequel. So what's a fourth one? A fourquel? I don't know. Because then even if you say that too fast, that might not even sound right. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to, a long episode, over an hour episode of Thank you for listening to this hour plus episode of my Entertainment Fails Threequel, because I really went there. I'm like, Lord, am I going to say this? I gave y'all a lot more, okay? Like, I gave y'all a lot. So, I don't know if I gave y'all more than I usually would, but I know I gave y'all a lot. So, anybody want to judge that? Anybody want to try to say I'm being messy? Judge the truth, okay? Say anything what you want to, but now you got more truth. So, if anybody's going to judge that or think that or whatever they want to, they can judge that. So thank you again for listening to Family Talk, and thank you for listening to me, your boy Luke Sanders, and make sure you come back here next week for a brand new episode of Family Talk.
Hey, it's Brenda Sanders.
What's up? It's your boy Luke Sanders, and here's what's coming.
To Family Talk.
I still don't even understand exactly what happened or how that can even happen if I wasn't exposed to a certain type of bacteria. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't get that. But yeah, this is the time that bacteria was in my blood. So I was like 3 or 4 with my mom and either 1 or 2 of my aunts. And I was at the mall. And this is all what they told me. There's actually some things I actually remember for myself, even though I was 3 or 4. I don't know how I remember certain things from that age, but yeah. But I don't remember this part, so this is them telling me what they told me. They said I was at the mall. I was like 3 or 4. All of a sudden, I turned, I think it was purple, either blue or purple, some darker color, and I passed out. So they called ambulance, however you want to say it. And I went to the emergency room. And I don't remember, like, after that, like, as far as, like, right when I got to the hospital and stuff like that, but I do remember as time went on, I remember being in the bed, and I remember feeling nauseated. So they gave me like the pill to throw up in, like the grape pill. And
Hey, it's Brenda Sanders.
what's up? It's your boy Luke P. Sanders. Thank you for listening to our podcast, Family Talk. Be sure to follow us at Family Talk Limited Podcast on Facebook.